Good morning. As I sit back in the sunroom of our house in Bella Vista, a suburb of Western Sydney, I reflect upon the 8 long years since the passing of Baba. It is 26 July 2026, and this is a winter month in the southern hemisphere, corresponding to the January of the northern hemisphere. I think it's an apt time to make a small film on YouTube reflecting upon his times, his works, the art scene in Delhi of those times, and some of the works that the viewer can see, which we treasure, look very different in the southern light of Australia than in India. The colors, the hues, the tones, the very forms themselves take on a different visual aspect in this country, under a very different light, the clear, pristine light that is coming in this room right now. So I'll start in the late 60s when we moved from our Western Extension house to Jangpura Extension, a rented apartment and Barsati. So we were living in the family house of my grandfather at Western Extension area, but in 1969, because of family pressures, Baba decided to come to Jangpura Extension. Jangpura Extension House was unique in the sense that in front there was Mathura Road and in behind it was Bhogal. In those times, Delhi was unpopulated and unpolluted, so much so that a bus flying on Mathura Road could be heard for miles. While in today's case, it is a general din, a noise that one hears. Another very interesting thing happened. Baba was awarded the J.R.D. Rockefeller Third Fund Award, which was founded by Rockefeller and which included funding the artist in all respects for 1 year stay in USA, and in our case involved traveling the world. So we were staying in 75th Street, West End, and we stayed there for 1 year. So when we landed up there, the apartment was one room. I still remember, I have a faint memory, although it's more than 56 years have passed, or 55 years. But in that building there was Paritosh Sen and his wife, who were also awarded that prize. So he was finishing and he was on his way back to India. So I studied in school in New York, a public school, because we were there for 8 months, and another 4 months we traveled the world. That was my best years of my life so far. This is important because Baba learned his paintings in later years were shaped by his experiences in going to MoMA and going to several museums in the US and learning from the scene there. Now I have to go and throw some light on the Delhi art scene. Now, during those days, as I mentioned earlier, Delhi was so different. But in October onwards, the winds changed and winter came when there was snowfall in the Himalayas. and people faces lit up with anticipation of the coming cool blue winter days and the hot humid days were a distant memory. Now, in December, a lot of people from Bombay descended to Delhi to experience the winters of Delhi. And one of them was Mr. Bal Chabra, other was Mr. Moti Bhavania, a chartered accountant, who also loved art and poetry. Something about Mr. Bal Chabra I would like to speak about is that he was quite an affluent person. He made all his wealth from being a producer of Bollywood films, but he ran a gallery also, and he himself was an artist of sorts. And he knew all the artists, and he knew all the Bollywood people. And when he used to arrive, he used to throw lava parties, beautiful parties, they involved drinks and dinner, of course. So prior to going to those restaurants of Delhi in those times, which were quite a few posh restaurants like Fujia, like in Malcha Marg, like Moti Mahal, or in Pandara Road, all the artists used to gather at someone's place and discuss art, like Lalit Kala Academy, its misdeeds, and other artists, and the gallery, the art scene in general. And these were very, very lively conversations. I was very young, probably in school. I was in school at that time, but I used to listen to them. I was an onlooker, and for obvious reasons did not participate. But I remember a lot to the last detail. And also towards the end of, there was a good meal waiting for me. Now, as the years rolled by, the 70s changed to the 80s, and then 80s to the 90s, these gatherings became very few. I should also mention that where we lived, just opposite to us, Christian Khanna was living. Behind us was Rajesh and Richard Bartholomew, and in East Nizamuddin was Tayyam Mehta, and in West Nizamuddin was Guy Twende. So all the artists were nearby. So I think probably that's the reason why my father shifted to that area. So as I said before, with the coming of 80s and then in the 90s, the gatherings used to be at the openings of art shows at the different galleries that had opened by that time, where the atmosphere was not so lively and it was more formal. I also want to recount an interesting anecdote that Satish Gujral had a huge house in Lajpat Nagar, and he used to have annual uh, party, annual year party, which was an open house, and all the artists used to go there in December, on December 31st. So my parents also used to be there sometimes. Also during the 90s, the children of the artists were growing up, so the artists had to attend to them as well, and they had family issues. And some of the artists, they passed away rather prematurely. So the scene changed, and India also became very commercialized. Art also became very commercialized, and then the visual aspect of India changed to such an extent that uh, for a landscape artist to draw inspiration from colors, like you have the blue sky or the rolling clouds and the winds, and so on and so forth, that became very impossible. So now I will speak about the paintings that we have, not all of them that we have in collection, but the figurative ones. So as you can see, this one here just behind me is titled In the Street. Now as the viewer can see, there's one boy, he looks very anxious and full of stress. He's running or coming towards the front of the painting. And all the other figures, they are children. And this boy is mounted on a wooden toy which is a horse. I remember in those times they were toys, wooden toys. I remember playing with one of them because those other battery operated toys didn't evolve in India till much later. They were not to be found anywhere because when we went to the US, I went after the battery operated toys available at Macy's or Bloomingdale's because I'm the only child, so I had the only toys for my company in those times. So, but in India, the children didn't have that, uh, facility of buying battery-operated toys from Japan because all the toys were local and most of them were wooden. So this is one of the works. Now I will go to another one. This large painting is titled After the Raid. There are many animals that can be seen in the painting. A horse, calves, and it has some kind of biblical imagery with the Messiah coming on a brown horse towards the top part of the painting. The use of white is quite unique in the buildings. And the woman is holding a child and she is looking up, probably praying. And the general atmosphere is of grief and sorrow. Continuing the show with this painting, which is titled Three Women. It's quite a large painting and shows three women in different poses. One of the women on the left is looking up, and the other one has a frontal view of the woman's face can be seen, and the one on the very right is his profile can be seen. Now we come to a very interesting painting which is titled Hidden Troubles and shows three young men of those times, all quite looking quite surprised with wide open eyes. Probably they are also unemployed or have some sort of problems. The middle person is looking up as if a solution to that problem could be found in praying. It's also quite a big work, but this one is oil on canvas, while all these other works were oil on boards. Now, the other painting here is not a big work, it's oil on board. It is titled Worker's Family, and it's quite self explanatory with the figures having big arms and feet, especially the man in with the reddish hue. He's got big feet and big hands, typical of workers of those times who were much sturdier than the people of today. Because of the environment was much more healthier. Now I'll go to another painting which is hanging in this sunroom, which is my painting, and I've been painting for last 40 years or so, but never, seriously thought of becoming an artist. Reason being that my father didn't encourage me in the first place, and also because at those time art as a profession was not considered a feasible activity to earn bread and butter for your family, and artist was looked upon some kind of just wayward guys who were not engaged in any uh, you know important activity. Even in school, in modern school, people when they used to ask me who's your father, so I've refrained many times from telling them that he's an artist, because otherwise I could be a butt of jokes. People liked those who were engaged in employed in offices, or were businessmen, or politicians, rather than being artists, which they didn't understand who's an artist. Talking about those times in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Now, right now, the perception might have changed. So, this is my painting, which is oil on canvas, and shows the pristine light and the shadows, and it's showing the flow of the land and that sort of thing. Now I talk a bit on Baba's medals that he got through his life. Here one can see on the right the Padam Shri, which he got in early 70s, and on the left is PADAMBHUSHAN, which he got in 2010, and below that is L'Atre d'Art from the French government, and the one below is from Musée d'Art Moderne. So he was awarded with these important medals, and being a very self-assuming, self-depreciating man with little pride, he never mentioned that he was a recipient of Padam Bhushan, and very little people in the media and in art circles and in art galleries know that he got Padam Bhushan as well, besides Padam Shri in 2010. Now I will run a small slideshow showing the paintings of Baba.
So I will start with the very first slide, which has probably been shot in Gold Market Studio. And this is way back in the early 60s when we were living in Western Extension area of Krolbach. This also is a Gold Market Studio and of that period. Likewise, the very same period. So the viewer can see that lot of blue has been used, blue and green and cool colors. This is the most famous figurative painting of Baba. Sad Town, which unfortunately was stolen in 2016 from our house in Bharti Artist Colony and has never been found since. Here I would like to include some photos of Baba with his paintings dating back in 1977 and the terrace of 431 Mathura Road, where we stayed around 30 years. And this was in Jangpura Extension. This is also the terrace of 431 Mathura Road, Jangpura Extension, where in the background you can see Vimla ji, my mother, drying a sari. And this also dates around that period, late 70s. This is Baba's painting in the Barsati of 431 Mathura Road. The Barsati served as a studio for so many years. Again from the same period. Baba was around 54, 55 in the late 1970s, 1977 to be precise. Still a very young person, as the viewer can judge for himself or herself. This is quite a big painting, around 6 feet high. Behind one can see the area of Bhogal and Jangpura Extension, and this is the servant quarter immediately behind the painting, servant room rather. In those days the sky of Delhi was very clear and always blue, especially during the winter. The light was sharp. This is probably the oldest painting, photo of the oldest painting, and been shot in the roof of Western Extension area, Karol Bagh, probably in the 50s or so. And judging by the blue sky of the winters of Delhi. Again, a photo of Baba. Once again, a very tall painting, and from the late 1970s, Baba in his early 50s or so. Another figurative painting. This is also a very old painting. Probably made it at the Gold Market studio. With a lot of cool colors. Another very old painting. An old work. Another large painting. This is a figurative work. Titled The Worker's Family. A very old painting. Another old painting. Also another one at 431 Mathura Road, Jangpura Extension. Also at the terrace of Jangpura Extension. Very large work. Another very large work which is stuck onto the servant quarter. This is quite a large work, and it is standing in the drawing room of our Mathura Road house.